So for those I haven't met yet, welcome. My name's Erin Sullivan. I'm the College Access and Success Coordinator at the Bridge to College and Careers program at LaGuardia. And we are here tonight for our STEM career panel, which is an opportunity for our students to hear directly from professionals in STEM fields. I'm really excited to have a panel with a very diverse set of job experiences. We have people here who work in healthcare, computer technology and communications, and accounting. So this is a really great opportunity to hear directly from those folks. And to our panelists, I thank you all so much for volunteering your evening to be with us tonight. Just a little note about the agenda. We're going to spend maybe 15 minutes on introductions so that we can get to know a little bit more about your background. I'm going to move through 4 or 5 questions based on some questions that I got from our students who I've been talking to over the past couple days about this panel. And then I'm going to try to reserve about 15 minutes at the end of our discussion to open the floor to the audience for anybody who would like to ask an additional question that we didn't get to address. So we'll move into introductions. We have our 5 panelists here tonight. If you could please tell us first your name, your work role and what that means, so what you do on a day-to-day basis, and also tell us just briefly about the path that you took to your current position. So whether it was a straight line or you kind of moved around in different fields, we're interested to know how you got where you are today. Anybody who feels inspired to go first can get us started.
I go first.
Great, thanks.
So, hi everyone. My name is Jeffrey Cohen. I am currently a systems administrator for the Studio Museum in Harlem. I've been working there for the past 7 years. Um, my career path was something a little bit rocky because I graduated and it was during the housing market crash. So it was really hard to find a job. So I did retail and for a while until um, I heard about Empower, where it's a nonprofit organization will help me get my A+. I had a few internships at corporate and nonprofit organizations, and then I ended up working at Student Museum, where just graduated from an intern to a help desk, junior system administrator to system admin, where I'm at right now.
Great, thank you.
Okay, then I go next. Hello, everyone. I'm Caridad Muñoz. I'm the creative technologist at LaGuardia Community College. I work for the Marketing and Communications Department. And a little bit about my background. I started as a computer programming, backend technology, doing database administration, and programming languages in different areas in different departments at LaGuardia, and move on into doing more front-end development and working as a digital and web designer for the college. I have my bachelor degree, my associate degree from LaGuardia, so I'm a CUNY proud product, so LaGuardia graduate, and continue with my bachelor in science at another CUNY institution, and completed also my master's degree at CUNY computer science. I'm also an adjunct professor, so I've been teaching at LaGuardia for the past 8 years, teaching web design, web development, video game design, and e-commerce technology. So it's pretty kind of like a straightforward my career, since from the beginning I knew I wanted to be in technology and design. So I from backend into front end development. So this is what I do right now as a creative technology, combining both aspect of the programming languages and the design aspect.
Thanks,
Okay,
Caridad.
so I can go. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Can
we
you
hear
hear
you.
me? Oh, sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Faith Armstrong. So I really did not have a straight path. I was one of those kids that my mother was like, what am I going to do with you? So with me, I started off, I had a really humble beginnings. I started off as a medical assistant. I worked in private doctors' offices. I did get accepted to become an MD, and I did not go. And since this day, my mother has not gotten over that. But I just wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. And so after I worked at a private doctor's office, I met a patient there, and that patient said to me, "I don't think you should be there. I really think you should go back to school and do something. How about if I get you a job at a hospital?" And I got a job at the hospital as a medical assistant. And while I was working there in day surgery and pre-testing and so forth, I met Dr. Caton, who was a surgeon. And then he said to me, "What are you doing here? Why don't you go into nursing or become a PA?" And so I really, really wanted to become a PA, but it just so happened that the director of nursing from BMCC called me. I actually did not find nursing, nursing found me. I got a call and they told me, "Would you be interested in becoming a nurse or getting into the nursing field?" And I was like, I don't know, I want to do PA. And then she said, "Why don't you come for an interview?" And once I did that, that was my journey. I became a nurse and didn't really like it at first, but now I love it. My specialty is in ICU. I'm an ICU nurse, cardiac pulmonary care unit, and telemetry. And that's my story. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Faith, for being here.
I can go next, if that's okay.
Of course.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Bhika. I am a professor of accounting at LaGuardia Community College. I teach primarily accounting courses, and I also teach a new course that was developed a few years ago by the college, I would say 3 or 4 years ago, which is called the First Year Seminar for Business. And that's an intro-level course to acclimate students when they transition from high school or any other programs when they're first entering the college. That's one of the first set of courses that they're going to take so that they can get acclimated and adjusted to college life. I've been teaching at LaGuardia for about 11 years now. And it was not a straight path for me to get to LaGuardia. Before coming to LaGuardia, I worked as an auditor. I worked as an accountant with various companies prior to coming to LaGuardia, one of them being the MTA. I am a CPA, certified public accountant. I am also a New York State mathematics teacher. I obtained my license to teach math grade 7 to 12 in 2008, I think, was when I achieved that. I received a bachelor's degree in economics and also a bachelor's degree in accounting from Queens College. And I also received a master's degree in accounting from Queens College also. So you could see that there were a lot of things that I did. But I guess teaching was the thing that sort of like brought everything together. So I wanted to become a teacher before becoming an accountant, but I got pulled away from teaching. But happened so the opportunities presented themselves later on where I can actually use my accounting knowledge and also my auditing knowledge, and then my degree in education, and applying that to my role as a faculty member at LaGuardia. So I'm very excited to be with you tonight.
Thank you.
I guess I can go next.
Sure.
So I'm Matthew Smith. I am the coordinator of the paramedic program at the college. I also am a practicing paramedic. I work for a hospital in the city. How did I get there? Well, I majored in political economy in college. I went to law school, and while I was in law school, I realized that I had a passion for emergency medicine, and I just couldn't tear myself away from it, try as I might. And so I originally started working as a paramedic to bring in some income while I studied for the bar, and then I got promoted into management, and it just sort of became my career. And so here we are, a few years later. So I have kind of two full-time jobs. I work coordinating the paramedic program at the college, and I work for the hospital, and I love and enjoy them both. Certainly keeps me very busy. And I'm sure we'll talk more about those later. Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Great. I think that was everybody. So one of the themes I noticed in the questions I received from students over the past week was something like pros and cons, or advantages and disadvantages. People have different ways of describing those things. But I think one question we're all interested in is, for all of you in your respective fields, what are some things that you find particularly challenging or demanding in your work? And what are some strategies that you use to overcome those challenges? These can be general things that that apply at all times, and they can also be more recent challenges considering the very difficult times that we're all in right now.
Can I guess, give it a go?
Please, thanks.
Okay, I would say one of the most challenging things, I guess, in terms of dealing, with a career as an accountant, and also, during my time at LaGuardia, is always the demand for time. There's so much that you want to do. There's so much that you have to do, but the time that you have to meet all of your responsibilities and to deliver, results, that's very limited. So I think I think regardless of the career that you go into, or the area that you're interested in, time will always be a limiting factor in terms of what you do and how you do it. So preparation, I think, is very important in terms of knowing what you want to do, spending your time and energy to learn it well before you enter the field. Also having experience, whether it be an internship or some other experience, to better position you so that when you go into a field, that you're already sort of like understanding what's required, and the work style, and also the groove of the job. But I think important in terms of me balancing all of the demands of being an accountant, and also as a faculty member at LaGuardia, is just prioritizing, knowing what's important, knowing when things are due, always going and sticking with the list, and not thinking that you will remember everything, and I'll get back to it, and I'll enter whatever I need to in that list later on. You'll forget. I forget all the time, and I try not to forget by creating the list. So I just constantly add things to the list and take things off when they're finished, and just knowing what's due and when it's due, and just trying to stick with that has worked over my career as an accountant, and obviously as a faculty at the college.
Excellent, thank you.
I think I go next also. For us being in technology, me and my team that work up as part of the communication for LaGuardia and the entire college, we were always connected and online, and we would pretty much handle a lot of our communication always remotely. But for the past 4 months, we were not prepared to face a lot of the challenges that we face. So I think like moving an entire college to online and distant learning was very challenging for the entire team. There were times that we were working late night, weekends, and a lot of the communication were coming after 6 o'clock in the afternoon because we didn't know what was happening. So having like the support of the team and getting everybody to work together, that was very, very kind of like the foundation of that from the beginning kind of made it better for us to work. And one thing is like the endless hour. We didn't know how many hours we were needed to put on our job when we started. But it was a difficult time and everybody adjusted. So again, it's technology and we needed to adjust to the time and help everybody. And again, moving also the entire college to distance learning, it was a big challenge for everybody, not for the marketing and communication team, but also as a faculty, because at the same time I was teaching also. So it was getting the entire class and everybody ready to do that. So those were some of the challenges that I face, especially now during this time that we went through a pandemic altogether, and the support of the team and everything made it better.
Thank you.
I can go. So two things. I think I don't want to speak for everybody in medicine, but I think that most people who go into healthcare do it with an understanding that it involves a certain degree of sacrifice and a certain you're expected to put the patient first, right? And that has been something that obviously with the pandemic has really been brought home to a lot of us. I myself have taken care of probably dozens of COVID patients at this point. It's scary. It's you fear for your safety. I had to move out of my apartment. I had to move out of my home into a hotel for 3 months, which was not something that I anticipated doing ever as a result of my career. But at the end of the day, when you go into healthcare, you do it. You're making a decision to put other people first and yourself and your own concerns second. And that's something that kind of drew me to it in the first place. I come from a military family. I come from a family of my mom was a nurse. My dad was in the Air Force. That's I felt like I wanted to have a career that involved service. But one of the we were asked to say what the challenges are, and I would say that one of the big challenges is it's not always easy to put other people first. And just to tie into what one of the other panelists was saying about time management and priorities, it seems like everybody in healthcare never gets enough sleep. If we all, doctors, nurses, paramedics, EMTs, have something in common, it's that we never get enough sleep. And that's an example of one of the sacrifices that we make. We work long hours, and you have to be prepared to do those things. But that's kind of one of the things that makes it rewarding, is that it's a whole, it's a body and soul and mind undertaking. And so those challenges are I think part of what makes it for me worthwhile.
Thank you, Matt.
I will go. Matthew, I think you took everything I had to say, so I'm not even sure. I'm not sure if
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, listen, if you're an ICU nurse, I think you probably
like,
have
oh
me beat
God.
on numbers of COVID patients.
I was like, oh my God. Because when I heard the question, the first thing that came to my head was COVID-19. And so I'm happy the students are there, because if it's one thing I stress when I teach the course, because I'm the coordinator of fundamentals, which is the new students that are just getting into nursing. And one thing that I stress is, when you choose your career of nursing, you have to truly love it. And you have to truly want to be that nurse, right? Don't go for the money. Don't go because, I'm going to have a good life or this, because that's not really what it's about. And again, when COVID-19 struck, I had all my students calling me, and I had my nurses that have been nurses for 20 years, and those calling me, and just the stress of everything, and the people are just dying on them. And I had very stressful calls, and where my students were really in a dire state. And so I had to sit them down and say, okay, is this what you wanted? You wanted to be a nurse, right? We got to, just what Matthew said, we have to put our patients first. You have to breathe, you got to take it easy. Is that what you want to do? And I had some colleagues that resigned. I had some, the pressure was just too much. And so the challenge for us is, and I know everybody knows that now because of COVID-19, is the fact that we had all our lives had to deal with short staffing. So we have no staff, we have long hours, and there are many times I work without no break, no lunch, no nothing. I go from 7 to 9 p.m. without anything. And so, it's a great career, but I want the students to really take heed to this and say, is this what I want, right? Am I ready for this? Because as Matthew said, you really do have to put these patients first. And then you have to say to myself, I have to take a step back. Okay, I have to save this life. There is a golden rule. There's a Florence Nightingale vow that we take. And so you have to say, I have to treat this person, right? And so it's very challenging. So for me and for students who want to get into the health field right now, I would say to you, think about what you want. If that's what you truly want. If that's what you love, you have to have a passion for it. I would say to you, it's a difficult job. It's a stressful job. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to cry. You're going to laugh. It's going to be rewarding at times, right? Because there are times when, in the COVID, we had patients who made it. Like, yes, they made it out. That's rewarding. So just think about your career and know that it's going to get hard. But if you love it and you have a passion for it, go for it. Because at the end of the day, it is so, so rewarding when you save a life.
Thank you, Faith.
So wow, it's really hard to speak after Matthew and Faith. The situation that we're in right now, and they are really are essential workers. Right? Everyone else gets to work from home, but they can't work from home. So thank you, Faith and Matthew, for this work. For me, one of the challenges that I experience working in the IT field is just learning and studying. The IT field is like rapidly changing. When I first started working in the IT field, a lot of things was virtualized. It was VMware. It was having things on and like on a server. But now things are moving to the cloud. Things are changing. So if you decide to go on this journey in the IT field, one thing you have to tell yourself is you got to continue to keep on studying and learning and exposing yourself. Go to conferences, go to networking events, sign up for meetups, experiment on your own. One of the things that I first started in the IT field was like, do you have a lab? What are you working on when you're home? So that's one of the things that's challenging. You work a 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 and you come home and you tired, but you gotta either wake up early in the morning, watch a video or read a book while you're going to work. After work, maybe watch a video, read a book, practice stuff on the weekends, carve out some time to progress in your career. Because you don't want to just start somewhere and let it pass by you, because things are changing so rapidly.
Great, thank you. So lifelong learning. definitely important. So I think that we've touched on this already. Thank you all for those answers. I think we have some really excellent insights into the unique challenges that everybody's facing. I want to give you an opportunity also to speak a little bit more about those parts of the work that are most rewarding for you. We have students who are, you know, in a position where they're thinking about their next education step, and are in many cases deciding on a major. And we know from listening to all of you that sometimes the major that we choose is ties very closely to the career that we have later in life, and sometimes it's a more kind of meandering path. But my question to all of you is, what are some of the things that helped you to realize that the work that you are doing now was really something that you wanted to do, whether it was something that you chose while you were in college or a training program, or it was something that you chose later on in your life after you had finished college? What is something you would say to people about the things you love about your job, and what really motivates you to continue doing your work even when times are hard?
Okay, I could speak. I think for the challenging part, guys, you could hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, sorry. Okay. For the challenging part, I think again is exactly what I spoke of earlier on. Having to deal, with the challenge of the workplace. There is something that happens when you're a new nurse and when you get on the floors. The environment could be so stressful, and so I think what I would like to share is, as a new nurse, always remember that teamwork makes the dream work, and that as a nurse, you could never do anything on your own. You really need a team, and you really need communication is really a big thing. So I would want to stress the students who are thinking of that. So first of all, make sure that, like I said, this is what you want to do. Work very hard to achieve your goals. But your goals also have to be reachable goals, right? And don't pressure yourself that I have to become a nurse in 1 year or I have to do it in 2 years, right? Make sure that you have a plan, right? And make sure the plan is also fitted in your situation where you are, your resources, or your family, whatever the case might be. And then you want to put it in together. Then you want to implement whatever that plan is. What am I going to do? I need to study hard. I need to go to night class. I need to do whatever. And then you execute that, and then that would be that your goal has been achieved when you become an RN. I think that would be the first thing I want to say. I think challenges, again, is always going to be, you're going to have bullying, you're going to have the short stuff, like I said, the overwork, the long hours, being tired, and all of that. You're going to be experiencing death. You're going to be experiencing suffering, all that stuff, right? But, and I may sound really weird, but the rewarding thing, though, is that one things that COVID people did not have when they were dying was family members. They died alone. And that was the saddest thing of all. And so you've been in the healthcare field, you now take that part of being that person's family member, that person's spouse, that person's daughter or son. And as a nurse, I always enjoyed being with someone during the end of life, because I felt it was just so rewarding to be at that moment with that person, holding their hand, encouraging them, caring for them, praying with them, whatever they may ask, you are going to be there for that person. So I think for me, rewarding is being there for your patient. And when your patient recovers, that's rewarding. Having a great career is rewarding. Caring for the sick is rewarding. I mean, caring for families is rewarding. So I think the challenges are okay. Yeah, we have to deal with that. But the gift, I wouldn't give that up. I would not give it up of just being next to someone and caring for them when they're in need, and being with the person when they're dying, and I'm comforting them and holding them, or just sitting next to them and letting them know that I am here. I think that's rewarding enough. I think that's a gift. That's a gift for all of us that's involved. So I wish all of you well, but think about that and go for it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other thoughts about rewarding parts of your job, the things that you really love?
I can go next. So for me, I never thought of teaching my career. So when I first started in computer science and being a programming technology, I that I would find myself teaching in front of a classroom. I always think like I want to build, I want to create, be always stuff. But I remember one summer, one of my professor called me, my former professor from LaGuardia. He called me and say, "Hey, Cady, would you like to teach the video class design?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I'm ready to do that." But he's like, "I think you are. You are ready to do that. So you have the knowledge and you're ready. So let's give it a try." And he asked me to teach the class. And I remember my first day teaching, I almost fainted. I was so nervous in the classroom. But at the same time, I saw the look at the student looking at me like, "Oh, wow, she's so young and she's teaching us." And then I gave them like my whole background of how I started at LaGuardia. I was working at LaGuardia as part of the communication and marketing team. And now I was in front of a classroom teaching the student. So by their look in the faces, they gave me kind of like a build up and confident. And one of the best things that I think ever happened that summer is for me to start teaching, because then I haven't stopped and I love teaching. And it's just so rewarding to see the student, that they start at LaGuardia and they go into having a full-time job or having a great internship and moving on into big company. And as Faye mentioned, every work is seeing someone, progress and having like something that they feel like happy that they can do in their life. And I have so many students that they come back to me or email me, "I have a full-time job. Now I'm doing this. And thank you for the class. Thank you for encouraging me to do this." So I love getting that communication back from the student, and also seeing the student and their family when they graduate in commencement or our graduation stage, seeing them crying and seeing them like being so happy with their parents because they made it. That's very rewarding for me to see that.
Great, thank you.
I go next. So one of the most rewarding things for me in my field is just being able to solve problems that arise. In the IT fields, it's so many different paths, and the path that I chose was the supporting role. So in IT, when you have an issue, you have to report that issue to someone. So in my field, you're not really needed until something bad happens. But you also have to be conscious enough to continuously learn. So when that thing happens, you know how to find that answer for that person. So what things that rewarding for me is just being able to solve that person's problem. Because a lot of times you're not gonna know what the issue is or how to solve it sometimes. It could be a new problem, it could be a bug, or it could be an update that causes something. And for me, that's what's rewarding for me. And the most challenging thing for me is just being able to communicate the issue and why it's happening to that person, and without you like confusing them with tech jargon.
I
Thank
can go
you.
next.
Sure.
I would say, I guess, in my career as an auditor and also as a teacher, I would say, I guess I would say what's rewarding, I would categorize into two areas. I would say internal reward and external reward. I would say internal reward is very important because those are, I guess, a feeling that you get and you know when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So if you feel that you've set goals that are attainable, you do the right things, and you always have been doing the right things, and you will do the right thing. I think that's important to you feeling accomplished, because you could achieve a lot in life, but it's how you go about accomplishing things in life. I think that's something that stays with you, for you to be comfortable and for you to be happy and for you to go to sleep in the night knowing that you did everything that you could have done and knowing that you did it ethically. I think ethics is an important part of having a lot of quote unquote internal rewards in terms of the goal that or goals that you've set out for yourselves. I think external reward in terms of accounting and also in terms of teaching is just making sure that your clients are happy, whether they are companies, whether the clients are students that you're dealing with. Just and I think the Jeffrey spoke about that. Just knowing what your clients want, doing everything that you can do to help them realize those goals that they're trying to achieve. And I would say just doing it, appropriately and what's right, I think is important also. So I don't think ethics is mutually exclusive to how you feel in terms of self-realization of your internal goals, or also it applies only to helping your clients achieve their goals. I think it just cuts across internal goals and external goals. And I can cite an example. When I was younger, I would say about 24, 25 years old, I actually became a CPA when I was 24, and I started my own tax business. I was just young, go-getter, trying to do everything that I can, trying to get my name out there and get clients and people to know who I am. And there was a client that I had who presented an opportunity for me to do some work for him, but it wasn't the most appropriate circumstance for me to take on the responsibility of doing what he's asking me to do. So when opportunities present themselves to you, no matter how good they might seem, you might sometimes have to say no to them because they don't fit with your own personal feelings or your own ethics or integrity. So you have to be careful so that you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, I did the right thing, and that's okay. Another opportunity is going to come up later on. So with respect to the client, I had to say, I'm sorry, I can't take on the job, and so I integrity, knowing your clients and their needs, and also your personal needs, and just trying to find a balance in terms of meeting both, I think is what's rewarding in teaching and also in accounting.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Nat, I want to give you a shot if there's anything you'd like to add, but I feel like you addressed a lot of this.
Sure.
Time.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. It's a tough job, and there are a lot of things that we give up when we go into EMS. But I was just thinking about this the other night. A warm summer night, and you're on the ambulance, and you're out there, and the other people who are working in your area, and you are responsible for keeping that part of the city safe. And there are just beautiful moments when you turn on the radio and you hear the jobs crackling through, and you are part of something much bigger than yourself, an enterprise that has the sole purpose of helping other human beings, and which is special in and of itself. But more than that, you're helping people in their moment of crisis, when they're struggling to breathe, when they are struggling to go on existing. You are there to preserve them, and you're there when life begins. You're there when life ends, which is something that Faith was alluding to, and I think that's a tremendous honor. You know, um, taboo melts at death's door. Um, we see people's most private spaces, which is an incredible honor. Um, you know, you see the family pictures, and you hold people's hands, you hear their stories, you see people at their most vulnerable, which is an incredibly beautiful thing. Um, you know, again, the job is hard. There's a lot of sacrifices. There's agonizing monotony. There's heartbreaking waste. Um, we often are not doing anything that a taxi couldn't do, but then you have these moments when it's just you feel connected to something much bigger than yourself, and you have the friends that you make on the job, and you have the knowledge that um, you're there to help people, and there are people that need your help, and you and your friends are going to take care of those people, and those moments just wash over you and refresh you, and they reel you back in just when you thought you were done with the job forever and you could walk away. Um, and once you've experienced those things, it's doing anything else is really it's hard to even imagine, because it's hard to even describe what those moments feel like. Um, but once you've felt it, once um, you've raced across the city and gone to help somebody in a moment of crisis and been there for them and provided the drug that they needed, or shined a light down their throat and put a breathing tube in, and literally breathed for them. There is just nothing on earth like that feeling. Um, you know, I've been all over the world. I've flown airplanes. I've dived in the Caribbean. I have done so many incredible things in my life, and there is nothing at all like that feeling, um, that I've ever gotten. So if that's something that you like, and you have one of those experiences, any sacrifice is worth it.
Thanks so much, Matt. Thank you all. I'm really, it's striking to me that uh, across all these different fields and different journeys, there's really a theme of connection with people and responsibility to other people that comes through as one of the most rewarding parts of all work, which is really neat to see. So this is going to be my last question from me for the night, because we do have about half an hour left together. For all of the students who are listening, remember that we're going to take about 15 or 20 minutes at the end of the session for your additional questions. So if there's something in particular that you'd like to ask one of our panelists, or that you'd like to ask the whole group that we didn't cover, you can think about it now, write it down if you need to, and there will be time for those questions near the end. With our last question, I want to address more about looking for a job. So definitely, we know that it looks different in each of these different fields. But what would be your advice to the people listening, say that if they do choose to go into this field and seek work in the job field that you're in, what advice would you give them? What were some really valuable experiences that you sought out while you were in school or after school? what do you feel maybe are some of the most important skills that you've developed that have made you a desirable employee? It can really be anything that you think is important for people to know if they're looking for work, maybe for the first time.
Let me jump right in.
Sure.
So let me give my advice in two parts. So the first part is going to be for people who are just broadly interested in medicine, and the second will be for people who are specifically interested in the pre-hospital emergency medicine field that I've made my career in. So just broadly for the people who are interested in medicine, my advice to you is as early in your career as possible, start getting hands-on patient care experience. Whatever you want to do in medicine, be it nurse, doctor, PA, tech, perfusionist, whatever it is, if you are interested in clinical medicine, the best possible thing you can do is to start interacting with patients. There are people who go to medical school, get in, never having laid hands on a patient, never having interviewed somebody, and then they find out that they really don't care for it. And so that's a shame. So get out there and start seeing patients whatever way you can. Becoming an EMT is a great way to do that. Being a medical tech, a patient care tech, is a great way to do that. But just start seeing patients however you can. That's number one. Number two, if you're interested in EMS, my broad comments on the job market, you have to be trying. If you can't find a job, you have to be like trying not to find a job, because there's just a ridiculous need for EMTs and paramedics right now. My dog agrees with me. So the thing that matters is not, or the question is not, can you get a job? It's, can you get a good job? So you want to be very selective about where you work. Seniority is, she agrees with that one too. Seniority goes a long way in the non-managerial parts of the world. So you want to get in on the ground floor somewhere and stay there so that you can build up your seniority and get your annual raises, build up your pay, build up your ability to get time off when you want it. So find a place that has good benefits, that has good starting pay, that has good working conditions. I'm fortunate that I have a place that checks all those boxes where I work, and stay there and treat your employer right, and they'll treat you right. So that's what I have.
Great, thank you.
I think Faith is speaking, but she's muted.
Oh, Faith speaking.
Okay, let's see. Thanks for catching that. Was that right, Faith? I just unmuted you in case.
Can I speak? I feel like the commercial. Am I mute or not? Yeah. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that Matthew just said something that's so important. That's so vital. Hands-on, you just cannot beat that. I have had students who went almost towards the end of the program and did not like it and stopped. I had students midway and said to me, "Professor, this is just not for me. I don't think I can, I don't think this is for me. I can't do this. This is not me." And it's heartbreaking to see someone invest so much time and energy and money and all of that. And they get to that point and they said to you, "I'm done." It's really heartbreaking. So I'm just saying, please, get involved. And I think hands-on is really important. Volunteering is extremely important. It's always good to volunteer. It doesn't matter whether it's in a hospital, a clinic, a doctor's office. So you get the feel of what it's like to be a nurse or to be an LPN. For nurses, I would have to say, get involved in associations like NLN, the National League of Nursing, ANA, the American Nurses Association. There are so many of those associations. Please get involved. go to things like job fairs, recruiting fairs. And the number one, talk to your professor, talk to your instructors. If you go to, during your rotations, you go to the clinics, you go to the hospitals, what do you think you should be doing? Making sure you talk to your clinical instructors. Let them get to know you. Let them know that you're interested. And so they can ask to come in and do internships, right? I have a lot of students of ours at LaGuardia that goes to Bellevue and they're doing internships and externships at Mount Sinai. And now, guess what? Most of them works in ICU, NICU, many different specialty areas. So get involved. So I would say volunteering, go look into research, recruitment, talk to your professors, talk to your clinical instructors, be out there, get your hands on. And if you can do that, I think you'll be fine. As a student though, as a student at LaGuardia, I will say to you, please join the clubs. If you can network and join the nursing clubs or the health sciences clubs, but accounting, all of them have clubs. Join those clubs because you get so much information from students, instructors, speakers. That's going to be a very valuable tool for you. So I think you should do that. That's how I got a job as a nurse and as a professor at LaGuardia. I went to conferences. And at the conference, I met the chair of the department at LaGuardia. And in the conference, he said to me, would you like to work for LaGuardia? And I said, I don't know if I want to teach. Come on, let's try it out. And that's why I'm here today. So please make yourself available and you'll be okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Faith.
One thing I want to say is don't be afraid to embrace changes because especially in technology, it changes every day. And that's something that we have to like always learn some new things every day. And there are so many great opportunities right now in organization providing free certificates online where you can learn new programming language, where you can learn new software, and where you can also learn new skills. So right now, especially because everybody is kind of like online and at home, there's so many great opportunity that allow you to leverage, like if you want to learn a new skills, this is the great time for you to do that. CUNY has also a lot of resources and a lot of great programs. I'm a very passionate advocate for female in technology. So at the beginning of my teaching career at LaGuardia, I started teaching video game design. And one of the first classes, there were no female students. So I made it kind of like a commitment to see myself like getting more female into tech, getting more diverse into the classroom. And CUNY has initiative like the Woman in Technology with me. The CUNY startup, if you have an idea about a business or a project you want to build, CUNY provide all those resources for the student for free, where they can train you and provide you information about start your own business in technology or anything that you feel is your passion. CUNY will help you also to do that.
Great, thank you.
I would like to follow up after her because we both work in the technology field. One of the things that I want to...
Again, great.
Oh, it was some back feedback. But what I wanted to talk about was that in the IT field, since it's always rapidly changing, one of the things that stood out to me was that when you are starting out in the IT field, when you have no experience, you really have to self-study and get certifications. And since the IT field is so competitive, and it's like so many different areas in the IT field, one of the things that will help you along the way is networking. So one of the things that happened to me during my career was that when I graduated, I didn't do no internships, and I graduated with an area in programming. So when I started doing my internships and I was doing programming, I didn't like it, and I got stuck. I was like, I was still in school, so I love programming, and then I was like, what can I do besides that? And that's when I got into the area of thinking about getting certifications. One area that helped me with getting my certification and networking was this nonprofit organization called Empower. Um, and they helped me get my CompTIA. It's like the basic certification that everyone in the IT industry gets when they first starting out in the field. And they helped me network and get me exposure to both sides of IT, the corporate side and the nonprofit side. And one of the things that I learned was that there's two, in the nonprofit side, you get exposure to so many different areas in the IT field. When I was working in the nonprofit side, I was doing crimping cable. I was, as an intern, I was doing punch down cables, configuring servers. I was switches. I was doing so much. But then when I had my internship in corporate, I was just doing one thing every day. Was I was just building laptops every day. That's all I did, and then move people around. So one thing I like to stress people is that when you are choose wisely where you want to go. You could go to nonprofit, and then you could get so much exposure and learn. And you go to corporate, and then you just do one thing constantly over and over again, and just expose yourself to so much, so you know what you want to do. Because now that I got all that out my system of doing help desk and ticketing systems, building servers, now I want to get more back into programming, because now I'm falling back in love with the cloud and Python and DevOps and GitHub, and Git. So it's just so much you could do, and then like it's so much you gotta just expose yourself so much. If you don't expose yourself, you never know what's out there.
I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, sure.
I think in terms of for a career, preparation is very important in terms of you know, positioning yourself well to achieve a job or career in a field that you want to go into. But I think important in terms of doing that is knowing yourself and knowing your circumstances. You know, what's realistic and also what's realistic in terms of the time that you want to set for yourself to achieve what you want to achieve, right? So I want to be a dancer. I like to dance, but I don't think I can go and you know, start training to become a dancer now. And you know, even thinking about like getting a job in something like that, does that make sense for the time that you have in terms of supporting a family and supporting your life? You know, those are type of things I think you need to ask yourself. You need to be realistic in terms of combining your interests, your passion with opportunities that offer security, stability, offer you know, opportunities for growth and professional development. I think you need to combine that together to see if something makes sense, and if it makes sense in the time and in the moment that you're in, and also with all of the responsibilities you know, that you have. I really don't want to be a dancer. I was just trying to use that as an example. But I think speakers you know, highlighted a lot of, you know, important things, you know, in terms of preparing yourself to enter into a field that you want to go into. I think being involved in clubs, you know, being involved in co-curricular activities, connecting with people, you know, getting mentors, people who you can learn from, people who have experiences in a field that can kind of guide you in terms of the opportunities, the steps that you need to take to realize, to obtain those opportunities. I think is important. Finding opportunities for you to do internships, paid or unpaid, I think is important. And for me personally, when I was in high school, I had the interest of becoming a doctor, and I was pre-med in high school, and I thought I was going to become a doctor, but I was an immigrant, and just came to this country, and my parents and my family was just trying to survive, and we didn't know that there are scholarships, available, grants that are available for folks to go to med school. So not knowing those things, and the resources that are available and the opportunities that are available can change, your career path, can change, your life. Just getting mentors and knowing what's available and what are the resources that are available, I think is important. I think you need to also be flexible, also in terms of your thinking. Have a commitment as to what you want to achieve and when you want to achieve it by, and the steps that you need to do and take to achieve those goals, but also be flexible in terms that things might not go exactly the way you are planning that they're going to go. But think about what you can learn, and gather from what you are doing that can help you in terms of achieving long-term goals, and not just short-term goals. Another thing I would say is just to be nice. Just be nice to people. Be ethical. Be kind. Everybody wants to work with someone who's kind, who's ethical. And knowing your clientele, knowing the goals that they have, helping them to realize those goals. I think Matthew spoke about it, that it's not about you or just about you. It's often about the people who you serve and society that you're serving, and just knowing that you're just a part of that broader picture. I think those are things I would say are important in terms of finding a job, or also just preparing for a job or a career that you want to actually have longevity and success in.
Great. Thank you all so much for all of these bits of advice. So as I said, we're nearing the end of our time together this evening, and I know there may be some questions or concerns that we didn't get to address. So for all of our students listening, I'll give you a minute to think. If you have another question for any of our panelists, or something for everybody to answer, you can unmute yourself and ask. Go ahead, or if you prefer, you can type your question into the chat. Everyone is always nervous to be the first, but I will give you a minute to think. Hi, David. Did you have a question for us?
Yeah. Well, I know that everybody talk about different fields, but I just wanna ask, what do you think about the trades? What do you think that is the field? How is the field of the trades right now? Like different construction types. What's the possibility like taking I was thinking on like taking like the construction management associate degree, but now I am looking to join a union, so I would like to know like what do you think about the trades?
Trades, right? Trade careers?
Yep.
So in case any of our panelists does have some insights into those careers, you can share with David. If not, David, I'm happy to set up a time to talk to you sometime next week and figure out maybe who are the best people to connect you with. But again, I'm not sure. I don't want to make assumptions about our panel. If somebody does have something to share about the job outlook in trades such as construction, please.
I'm not a panelist, but
Sure.
I am in a union trade, and
Okay.
I would 100% say stick with college, get it done, get the degree, the associate's degree in construction management, because working out in the field, it has its days, and it's not as rewarding long term for you and your family to to take the route of being a tradesman. I would rather stick with the construction management and starting a career with that. That opens up so many paths rather than leaving you stuck with the trade that you think you would have liked, and now you're stuck there, and it's a very physical, demanding job. I would say stay with school. That's why I'm here.
Can I
Okay.
add something to that response? I'm sorry.
Sure.
I think part of it is, as I mentioned before, time is important, and in terms of your responsibilities, also thinking about your responsibilities in terms of time. So, you know, what do you need at the moment? You know, do you need money to help, you know, support your family, yourself? If that's the key concern for you, you know, you might want to, you know, focus, you know, energy on, you know, on earning funds at the moment, right? But you might also want to think about, is there a way that I can do that and also continue my education, a degree that can help me further my career in either the area that I'm in, or maybe whatever I'm doing right now, using the education that I'm, you know, getting part-time and the job that I'm doing full-time. Can I combine those two together to achieve a bigger, more long-term goal? So that might be, you know, something that, you know, that you might want to think about, is that school is always the best thing that you can do for yourself. It's always the best investment that you can make in yourself for the long term. But we understand that it's not always the most feasible thing for someone to do at the moment. But if there's a way for you to work part-time, or a certain amount of hours, but also take classes that can help you get a degree, I think that's more important, because in terms of your long-term success and you know, having, you know, income and support for you and your family coming in, I think the education is always going to win out. So I would say just trying to find a balance that's right at the moment, but I'll never ever give up on the degree. I think is critical.
I agree 100% with what Rob said. You can get in the trade, but always make school the priority, because if you just stick with that one thing, you're gonna be stuck. So find a way to make the trade work for you, but also get the education, because that's gonna help you in the long run.
Thank you both, Anthony and Raj. Very well said. I see a comment in the chat. Um, um, Mikhail, if you can hear me, do you have a question about the best way of finding a specific field within programming? Or do you feel like the panelists have helped to answer that by talking about joining clubs and getting insights into what is interesting for you? Maybe, Jeffrey, can you comment on a little bit about, we know that computer technology and programming is such a broad field. For you, what were some things that helped you to kind of narrow it down as far as where you wanted to focus your career?
Well, I don't program that much because I work in a different area. But what what's hot right now, because I know the history of programming, the language has changed every rapidly. So when I was in college, um, like 10 years ago, one of the programs that was popular at the time was C++ and Java and HTML. Well, Java and HTML, they still around, but now they other programs. Is Go with Google. There's Python that's popular right now. There is it's so much. But the one that stuck out to me the most right now that's really hot is Python. And it all depends on what you want to do. Different programs for different areas in the IT field. So if you want to um, figure out what programming language that you want to focus on, I would just say experiment. It's not too hard to download a what's that word? I can't remember, but the application that you use to write code on and to push it out and to just to practice on your spare time. There's videos on YouTube. You could do projects on your own just to get yourself exposure, and then you can say, "Oh, I really like this one. So what can I do with this language?" And that's what I would suggest. And then, besides clubs, because I'm not in college no more, and I don't work at a university. My big thing was going to meetups and speaking with people who are in that area of field that I'm interested in working in. So I would suggest that. And then those meetups, you will meet people that are actually working in the field. So you can ask them questions and get exposure to what they are doing with the programs that they are working on.
Thank you. Caridad,
I
anything
think
to
I'm
add?
gonna add. Yes, yes. So, thank you, Erin. So I just want to add to the programming part is that right now, since I have my whole background in programming languages, one trend that I see a lot is like getting into software development, like coding for mobile technology, doing a lot of software application and depending on the system. So there's a lot of, job and demands right now for that. CUNY has a CUNY meetup group that I will put down the link in the chat so everyone can see it where you can join. There's a JavaScript, there's a Python group, there's different variety of the different programming languages that if you want to join and learn, you can meet up and have the things, work on your project or just enjoy like the networking with someone that has the same passion that you have. So there's a lot of resources at the school at LaGuardia. We also have software development as part of the computer system program and video game design as well, a video game developer. And there's different clubs that you can join once you enroll at LaGuardia. There's different clubs that you can join for those different areas as well.
Great, thank you so much. That'll be helpful. And then we have a question from Ganesha. Any advice for a young person stuck deciding between pursuing a career as a phlebotomy technician and or a career in the EMT field?
So I could take that. As a phlebotomy tech, you're doing one very specific skill, which is to get blood, right? As an EMT, you kind of have a much broader range of things that you'd be expected to do. The cool thing about being an EMT is when somebody's having a medical emergency, whatever that emergency is, they're calling 911 and you're going. So you could see somebody who chopped off a toe 1 minute and somebody who is overdosing on some exotic substance the next. So you're going to get practice assessing patients and taking a history, doing a physical exam, and some limited treatments as well as an EMT. So it gives you kind of a broader base. Having said that, you could probably make more money as a phlebotomy technician, and you're going to be working in air conditioning. You know, as EMTs and paramedics, we work wherever people are, from the subway tracks to the penthouses of skyscrapers. So, as a phlebotomy tech, you have much more predictability with your work, probably a little bit more money, probably a more pleasant work environment. But as an EMT, you kind of are getting a broader base of experience, and I think having some more responsibilities, and are going to be expected to do different types of things. So there's pros and cons to each.